X, YouTube, as well as we were going to be on Instagram, but we never made her up. Dave, I'll hit your request. So we've just gone live on all those. Welcome to Bushleague Sports. I'm your host, TKB. We'll be with you in
Say, man, you're in a privileged position right now. You're in a place to be. Matter of fact, a place to G with the one and only S&OOP. So what you gonna do now? Turn that shit up and let it bang.
Everybody that you fight is not your enemy.
Trenches.
And everybody that helps you is not
work
your
on your
friend.
free time. Nico Trenches, we train
And
online
that's what
and
life
D-line. Getting sacks on quarterbacks, you know we live. When you check that 45, keep your nose on his inside. Better punch something, keep your feet moving, dog. My 3 10 and 1 10, they some real hogs. My DN 6'5", he ain't got no flaws. Good grades, good feet, man, he got it all. I said crazy, he'll snatch something. Real aggressive jump, said he trying to grab something. If the old don't shoot their hands, you better jab some. You better stab some.
I'm here with the winner, Derek Lewis. Derek, why don't you take your pants
to the
off?
pros, we get it in.
Balls are hot.
If you ain't watching film, you ain't trying to win. If he close the beat gap, then you gotta spin. If you get around the edge, then you gotta bend. I'm in the trenches where the lineman at. I'm in the trenches where the lineman at. I'm in the trenches where the lineman at. Where the lineman at? Where the lineman at? D tackle, do your dance. D ends, do your dance. Center, do your dance. Guard, do your dance. Tackle, do your dance. I'm in the trenches where the lineman at. I'm in the trenches where the lineman at.
Bet against me. Bet against me. Tell me it's not going to happen. Tell me it's going to fail. I love it. I love every minute of it.
Good morning, everybody. I'm your host, TKB. We're back. Another episode, Bushleague Sports, episode 24. Getting into all things with the NFL trade deadline, NHL. Get you through your fantasy lineups. Everybody's got to get playoffs going down next week. I got a little echo coming back. I got to see what that is. I'll deal with it in a second. But nonetheless, just stoked to get you guys through that. There's only 1-2 more weeks, depending where your NHL fantasy playoffs are set in your league before we're going into the final couple weeks, get through that, try to get a couple wins. So I'll show you guys how to get the lineups, how to get the most out of them through the next couple weeks, and then go through everything that's going on in the NFL. Obviously, been a pretty big week of everything happening there. Trades going back and forth. We got Derrick Henry going over to Ravens. I got the 2 best running backs in the league, basically, with Lamar and Henry sitting over there. And just excited to be here. Also, we're live right now, Facebook, X, YouTube, and also live X Space. I'm joined by my pal, Dave. He's here hanging out with us this morning too. Hopefully he's got a couple good questions. But how you doing this morning, pal? Thanks for joining us. And for anybody who's here, you can go over to check us out over on Twitter. There's a live feed there, kind of basically like our own little Sirius XM in essence. You can come in, pop in, say hi. But how you doing this morning, Dave? Nice to chat with you.
TKB, what's up? Doing pretty good. Lots of stuff going on in the NFL. I definitely have some thoughts on some stuff, but yeah.
Nice. What's your favorite squad? What's the team you're most interested in where they're moving?
Oh man, I'm a Patriots guy. I'm a season ticket Patriot guy. Back all through the Brady years, and now I'm kind of lost. All the things that I like, so we're kind of back on the losing side. I don't see it turning around anytime soon, and I'm frustrated with the stuff that they're doing.
Yeah, I know for sure. They're obviously got a big turnaround going on over there with not having Brady for the last few years, and then now Belichick's out of there, so basically a full on turnaround. Mac Jones on the move too, and everything else. But for everybody joining in on anywhere else, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or wherever, you can pop in, like I say, to X, come in, chat with us, and go through that. But we're gonna get all kinds of things in there. But we could maybe start with a little bit of what the Patriots got going on, get right into it. Thanks for joining me this morning. I really appreciate that. But yeah, they got quite a few moves, right? And signing Hunter Henry, one of the kind of studs that's been in that offense for a couple of years. They signed him, keeping him around for a few years. And Kendrick Bourne gets a 3-year deal. He hasn't done a whole lot yet, but definitely been one of the better receivers they've had the last few years. I don't know what your thoughts about him have been, but he's kind of, I would say, the main receiver they got going there. So it's nice to at least see them sign. But they also brought in Jalen Reagor on a 1-year.
Yeah, it's like, but it's like, Hunter Henry, Bourne, they've already been there. We thought they, and we have huge quarterback issues, but hopefully with the number 3 pick, we'll pick somebody. I assume they're going to take a quarterback, but the thing that really, really frustrates me is we had the chance to get Calvin Ridley, pair that with the rookie quarterback, and that would have been exciting for us fans. I don't know if that would have put us over the top, but it would have been something exciting to watch. And I was listening to the radio when I was going to get my coffee this morning, and the reports are that they were $4 million off from making a deal with Calvin Ridley.
Oh yeah.
And because earlier in the week, we signed Jacoby Brissett for $8 million. Like, is that just a terrible contract? Like, what's Jacoby Brissett going to do for us? And why did we spend $8 million on him? Could use that money to bring Calvin Ridley and draft a good rookie quarterback, and that would have been exciting.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I mean, obviously, you want to see something electric, a good player in there. At the same time, I mean, does that player necessarily want to go there? They don't really have an established quarterback. I feel like Jacoby Brissett's kind of going to be your veteran guy and probably play a few games, depending if they end up, bringing in another rookie aside from Mac, or what they end up doing, right? But who knows if Ridley even wanted to play there, right? So you never know on that side of it too.
Yeah, that's true. I'm a fan. I need electric. I need something exciting about it. I can't get excited over Jacoby Brissett.
That's fair. I'm trying to find the space. Where is it? There we go. I'm live on the air, and of course I put my iPad in front of the thing I need to click, and I couldn't see you talking anymore. So anyways, yeah, if you're in the space, you can join in live on X and come chat. But no, I appreciate that take. It's it's interesting to see what fans of their own teams think about what's going on and what's happening with their squad. Obviously, I'm very critical of the Broncos and everything the Broncos are doing because they've been pissing it away for a few years. So we'll see if they get any better this year or not.
What's your thoughts on Russell Wilson?
I mean, I think Russ, he hasn't played very well. Like I was at a game or two last year, the Broncos games, and even just watching him, like he'd have wide open plays where he would like not run the ball for first down and then end up, basically getting tackled, sack fumbled all the time on plays where you're like, there's just no reason that should have ever happened. And watching him, like eye test, it wasn't that great to watch. I feel like super lame that they just got rid of him, didn't even try to trade him. They're paying the whole salary. The Steelers get to have him for $1 million. He's their starting quarterback. Broncos got to pay the other $39 million. I think he hosed the boys and got away with the bag for $40 million for a year.
Yeah, that's my frustration with the Brissett thing, because like, what, Brissett's $8 million and the Steelers are getting Russell Wilson for 1.5. Like, I would rather Russell Wilson. He would be exciting. When Russell Wilson got released, I was like, oh, let's pick up Russell Wilson, and then maybe we don't even draft a quarterback. We draft Marvin Harrison Jr. That would be exciting to watch. And they're just not doing anything. Like, I know Bill's gone. Like, Bill, his whole philosophy is draft linemen, this and that. And honestly, like, I thought it'd be in Bill we trust type of guy. But, like, I think the only reason that whole philosophy worked was because of Brady. Because when you have a guy that good, you just put good, solid pieces around him, and then the team's going to be great. work. Like the past few years, it shows us it doesn't work. And Bill's gone, but the Patriots are still doing the same philosophy. They're just doing like safe plays, and without Brady, it's not going to cut it.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's they got to rebuild, they got to restart and get going from scratch. But no, I want to get going over some of all these trades here. And if you're tuned into the video stream, you'll see I got it pulled up on the side. All the different, different signings and stuff that's gone on in the NFL here in the last 24 hours. Or, well, I guess more like 48 to 72 hours at this point. It's been a busy couple days. But Cardinals made a bunch of moves, obviously trying to get some players beside Kyler Murray. He came back last year and he played okay, but hopefully in the draft they signed a few guys. So far they haven't done a whole lot aside from bringing DJ Dallas, who never really did a whole lot in Seattle the years he was there. We'll see if he comes in as a depth guy and does anything, and then just stacking up the defense a bit with Justin Jones and Bunting and Wilson and bringing in a few different guys. So a couple little moves for the Cardinals, but the Falcons kind of went and took a big leap this year, right? Going to Kirk Cousins. That'll be trippy to see him move over there. Obviously, comeback player of the year there in the last year or so over in Atlanta. And so pretty cool to see Kirk Cousins move over to Arizona or over to Atlanta. And we'll see how that, affects everything in the NFL landscape. It's going to be interesting to see him there. Obviously, they didn't think Desmond Ridder was the answer if they got Kirk Cousins coming in. So Desmond Ridder's rookie campaign looks like he'll be backing up Cousins for at least a year or two, see how it goes. And Rancho, nice to see you tune in on Twitter. Feel free to pop up, say hi if you'd like. And then obviously put Darnell Mooney over with the Falcons. So they got a couple weapons. We'll see if Kyle Pitts comes under the depths. I seen a meme here the other day of their coach is talking to another tight end in the draft, and everybody's like, no, like don't draft another tight end and ruin it for him. So we'll see how they do it. And then obviously, a few defensive players they re-signed and keeping them around, keeping that team stacked up. Baltimore Ravens with a few little moves there. Like I say, they basically got the two best running backs in the league now with Lamar and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's been a guy who last year maybe didn't pan out as perfectly as I wanted, but I was definitely out there saying like Derrick Henry's the guy I would be drafting probably third, fourth overall last year behind like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and a few others that were going top last year. But Derrick Henry was like actually a legit top target for me. And now seeing him go into Baltimore, if Lamar can keep going, like, and they can get some stuff out of Zay Flowers and Bateman and all those guys, it'd be really cool to see. Same with Andrews staying healthy for the whole year. That would be interesting to see how this offense goes with Derrick Henry and Lamar. I mean, defenses are going to have to be just on stand. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I think it's just like, it's disgustingly unfair having Lamar and Derrick Henry on the same team. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm torn. Like, I agree with you. Like, that's a powerhouse running back, but like, I feel like with modern NFL, you got to be able to throw the ball. So
I feel like
your offenses.
No, that's fair. I feel like I seen Lamar doing it a bit last year. Like him and Zay were putting it on him, and Andrews have been pretty good. He can take one more step ahead this year, and even one step ahead is like they were a couple points from being in the Super Bowl, right? So it's really sometimes hard to just like, man, it's hard to knock him because Mahomes keeps getting there and getting it done, and he's right there knocking on the door. This I literally thought was the year they would get it done, but didn't work out.
Yeah. Also, I'm like, Derrick Henry had a pretty good year last year, but I don't know how long is the shelf life of running backs in the NFL. He's gonna be fading pretty soon. So, hey, maybe he has a great season, but he could have a drop off season too.
Yep. I could just hear my kid doing something wild upstairs. Sorry. But no, obviously, I think that there's a lot of one thing I always say is I hate how quickly they literally just like pass running backs on. It seems like they don't want to pay them nowadays. Like as soon as they get to that point where they're like they should be getting paid more, they just release them and give the ball to someone else. And I don't know how much of I am a fan of that. Like, because we're like never going to see like an Adrian Peterson or Lamar Tomlinson or any of these great players, because like it seems like they're not going to ever get the opportunity to play that long in the sport anymore. They just literally are like move on to the next young kid because it's cheaper. It can hopefully get as much durability, as much plays out of them. And I don't like it, because I feel like these veterans get good, like, and they make the game good, and they start to, sometimes it takes a few years and they start to get really good. And I hate that, like, at that point, it's like, oh, okay, now we're supposed to pay him. No, we're just moving on. And like, you see a guy like Dalvin Cook, who's like top 3 running back in the league year after year after year. He's supposed to get paid. They don't want to pay him. He goes to another team. They don't want to pay him or play him. And I mean, there's just no reason for the guy's career to end aside from they just stopped playing him. Like, he was perfect the year before. What the hell? So I don't know. I don't like that in the NFL. I think they just throw the guys out and they don't get the respect they deserve.
Yeah, the game certainly has changed. Yeah, I agree. I don't think we'll see any more long career running back that put up big career type stats. So yeah, it's kind of sad.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm with you there. But yeah, and then obviously going over to the Buffalo Bills, they signed QB Mick Trubisky. He'll be backing up Allen. I actually just kind of had him tucked in a trade that I just did in a dynasty league. So I'll have Trubisky just in case Allen ever goes down. It's good, a little dynasty stash if you're in any dynasty leagues. Obviously, it's always good to have a quarterback on some of those great teams. Some of those great teams too are pretty quarterback dependent though, so sometimes it doesn't always translate. But a bunch of the same thing, bunch of O-line, D-line signings for Buffalo, and a few extensions for a few different players, 2-3 year extensions for Lewis and Rapp and Edwards, and a couple other things going on. And again, shout out to CBS NFL for just literally, like, it's the easiest thing I ever pulled up. So I was like, I'm not even doing my own. I'm just going to use theirs. This thing is so easy. But shout out to them. Carolina Panthers too. I mean, they haven't been good in a hot minute. Obviously, we see McCaffrey going over to San Fran and almost getting a Super Bowl. But for them, just a few different guard defensive tackle signings, and then Deontay Johnson coming in from the Steelers for a 7th round pick. So there's a couple little moves there. And then Chicago Bears. It could be interesting to see what they do in the draft. I don't know if anybody has an opinion on that, or Rancho. I don't know what your thoughts are. We'll get over to the Raiders in a little bit. But going to be interesting to see what the Chicago Bears do. Obviously, Mooney's gone out. We talked about him a little earlier, and they bring in DeAndre Swift out of Philadelphia on a 3-year, $24 million contract. It basically, so Swift he's getting paid the same as Derrick Henry and 1 more year, and that's one thing that kind of baffles me too. I feel like Henry has done more than Swift year after year, but maybe I'm wrong. But somehow DeAndre Swift gets the longer contract at the same price. And other than that, just a couple little young signings, Gerald Everett and Rippon backing up. Bengals too. We see Mike Gesicki go over there, and that's going to be a big move for them in fantasy. He's a guy that hopefully can become relevant again. Like you're saying, you're a Patriots fan. I kind of thought that he didn't get put to use properly while he was rolling over there. He was a stud at one point, and then just kind of got let down while he was there. So hopefully he can come back to fantasy relevance. T. Higgins too on a $21 million contract. Hey, that's big franchise tagging the guy. The Browns bring in Winston to back up their guy over there with who else? Hicks and Dunn coming in. I'm drawing a blank for a second on the QB. I don't have my co-host, so usually I got someone to bounce it off of back and forth. So away she goes. But Cowboys haven't done much yet. I don't think they need to, but we'll see. I mean, all these teams blow each other up when they don't get the results they deserve, they want, right? And then we got the Broncos, my boys. Oh boy, I don't know what that office is doing. I mean, I'm just going to come out and straight up say it and be like, I just literally have no idea what they're doing over there. Like, I mean, they don't even try to make a trade for Simmons. They don't even try to make a trade for Russ, right? They literally just let him go. Just, nothing. We don't need a 6th. We don't need a 7th. We don't need anything. Just let him go. You're only one of the best cornerbacks in the entire league. And literally, like, maybe, Super Bowl winning quarterback in Russ, where you're paying the whole contract. Like, how did make the Steelers at least give you a pick while you're paying $39 million for their $40 million quarterback? Just absolute bullshit. I cannot believe what they're doing over there. And so just to see that happen, you're like, what is this team going to do this year? I mean, they get rid of Judy for 5th and a 6th. He's their first round pick a couple years back. And just basically the team's back to absolutely square nothing. They decimated the whole team to bring in Peyton and to bring in Russ Wilson. And in the end, they're all gone, and they'll have to get rid of even more to try to start this rebuild, right? So tough to see it. But again, too, if you're coming in on Facebook, please feel free to tune in over on X. You can come in, tune in and join the live show as we're going over there. We got everything happening over on X. There's a couple people tuned in, hanging out. Dave was giving his opinion a little earlier. Shouts to that for dialing us in on everything that's going on with the Patriots and his thoughts on the team. I know I wish Rancho, he's probably busy driving or doing something, but that'd be cool if Rancho could pop in and give us his thoughts on the Raiders. Be interesting to see what he thinks they got going on there. Let me bring myself back up here to the big stage. There we go. Sorry if there's lulls in the show today too. Like I say, usually Trav or whoever's babbling while I'm swapping between stuff behind the scenes here, but it's really interesting to see like some of those big moves. Same as the Packers moving on from Aaron Jones, bringing in Josh Jacobs. That's a pretty big move. 4 years, $48 million. So Josh Jacobs gets $12 million a year on a 4-year contract. Gets more money than all of them. I don't know if it's just like a better agent or how he pulled that off, but I would say he's the lesser of the three. Well, no, he's probably better than Swift. He's probably better than Swift for sure. But how he gets like double, triple the contract of Derrick Henry, I really don't know. Houston Texans. Tank Dell should be back this year. That'll be big for them. Coming off that Fibby injury last year. Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and then my boy, CJ Stroud, Dynasty League. If you guys are in Dynasty League against me and watching, you're absolute dust. I mean, CJ Stroud's just going to keep ripping with these boys for the next few years. And then they bring in Joe Mixon from the Bengals. I don't remember the exact specifics of the trade. He came in on a trade over from the Bengals. So again, the Bengals and Joe Burrows don't have the boy Joe Mix. He's a big part of their offense for the last few years, but he'll be over in the Texans. So it'll be cool to see them have an actual legit running back this year to go with Stroud. I think they've seen enough last year to know, hey, we got to build a team around this young fella. He's playing really, really well. Colts bring in Pittman, 3 years, $70 million, and then a couple other moves along the board there. Jacksonville Jaguars, Josh Allen. Not Josh Allen from the Bills. The edge, Josh Allen, comes in on a 1-year, $24 million contract. That's more than Henry's getting to play for his whole life. So that's pretty wild to see how they just don't pay those guys a ton anymore. And then QB Mac Jones acquired via trade, coming, like I say, out of New England. I guess, what was your overall thoughts on Mac while he was there? Do you think it was him, or do you think it was a team around him, or how do you feel about how all that went down?
I wanted to love Mac so much. I started off the first game. I went preseason game his rookie year, and I got his jersey in the pro shop there. We were so excited. Oh man, everybody in New England was like, "Oh, we're getting lucky. We're going from Brady to Mac Jones within just a couple of years, and we're going to be back on top. This is our guy. This is our savior." I guess that's how all NFL teams are when I got a new quarterback.
That's how I thought about Russ, kind of, sort of. I mean, I guess actually not. I'm probably on record being like, why did they do that? I tried to be happy about it, but I was definitely like, this was a bad idea right from like the very second they did it.
Yeah. So it's always like the Jets always, Jets never must be a terrible franchise to be a fan of, but at least they make it exciting. Like, they get some good players.
Yeah,
And they say, like, Jets fans are always like, we're going to win the Super Bowl. And then it's like, nope, that's not happening.
Yeah, it was a tough break for them this year with the Rodgers thing, and I'm hoping he comes back healthy and has a good year, and we get to see him play. He's one of those guys you like seeing healthy and being in the league, being a stud. So
yeah, they could be good with that. But we really wanted Mac to be it, but it just wasn't working. At first, I kept making excuses like it's the coaching staff. They're not letting him throw it down the field, which they weren't. But I don't know. In the end, I just don't think it was the right fit. I don't think he was ever going to work out. I don't know. I mean, he's an okay quarterback. He kind of like, he doesn't have great pocket presence. He gets like sacked all the time where he could just be like, that's one thing that Brady's so underrated. And is like Brady would throw it at people's feet all the time. And sometimes people would be like, why are you throwing on his feet? Well, he's just living to see another down. And like, he was the best at that.
Yeah. Putting it in a place where it's not a penalty and moving to the next one.
Yeah. So I don't think Matt was going to work out. We had to move along there, and I don't know. I hope they get one of these rookie quarterbacks, and we can be excited for that. And honestly, it'll probably not pan out like that. I think this actually brings up like a bigger, like a pretty big like issue that might even be part of the Mac Jones thing. Like the best quarterbacks coming out of the draft go to the worst teams, so they're like set up for failure. And it's just like, what if Mac Jones was drafted to like the 49ers? Would he be like Brock Purdy right now? Like he could be, I don't know. But he would like come to the Patriots who are just terrible. Like he didn't really, I think part was on him, but I don't think he had even a chance to succeed.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Like I said, I mean, Kendrick Bourne's your best player you got. It's tough sledding for sure. Moving over to the Chiefs, though, they've only made a few moves. They bring in Irv Smith as the Bengals let him go, and they brought in like we were chatting about earlier, bringing in some new blood for their squad. I'm drawing a blank for a second, so shouts to me for absolutely dusting that. But who'd they bring in again? Oh yeah, Gesicki. I just talked about that 2 minutes ago and had to go back and look. But yeah, Irv Smith coming out of the Bengals over to the Chiefs. That'll be interesting because he's a young player that I really believed in. Had him in my dynasty leagues, pegged as a guy that I would plug in and run for a few years, and he hasn't really turned out to be that dude. So we'll see if the Chiefs can get him going. But probably not the best place to get him going because they got Travis Kelce. But we'll see if maybe Irv Smith's any good. He can supplant him the first year they don't win the Super Bowl or something. I feel like the Chiefs will just keep going until they win the Super Bowl. Don't win the Super Bowl 1 year, and then maybe Kelce will retire or something and go on tour with T Swift.
Yeah. I mean, the Chiefs are like, man, Patrick Mahomes is just far. Anyone who tries to talk about top quarterbacks and doesn't just say Patrick Mahomes is by far the best, and then the best quarterbacks are like well below him. It's absolutely crazy. Like he is like I'm a huge Brady guy, as you might have known, but like I root for Mahomes just because he's fun to watch and stuff like that. But you've seen the Patriots for years ran like 2 tight end sets and was very, very successful doing that. So I don't know, maybe you see the Chiefs do that this year.
Yeah, no, it'd be interesting to see where it all goes for sure. And like you said, he is pretty. I like to put Lamar in that same category. He just doesn't have the pedigree of I guess getting all the wins as well. But no, I'm with you. He's in a league of his own almost. And then over to the Raiders. The Raiders bring in Minshew and a backup over there, so that'll be good to see him come in and play. Amir Abdul gets moved over there as well. Over to the Chargers. Gus Edwards comes out of the Ravens, like we were just talking about. They got Derrick Henry. He goes over to the Chargers, who got moved on from one of their running backs. The Rams, not many big moves there. It's gonna be interesting to see if Puka does his thing. I mean, him coming out of nowhere. I mean, I know he went undrafted in our dynasty leagues. Like nobody really knew who he was, right? And and all of a sudden he's coming out of nowhere week 1, 2. People get picking him up off waivers, and he ends up literally doing it the whole year and breaking basically every rookie record, right? So pretty cool to see Puka do that and come out and be such like an impact player in year 1 with the Rams. They have Cup goes down, he's doing it. Cup's there, he's doing it. Didn't matter. So it was really impressive to see him come in and just absolutely dominate. Just like say pretty much every record, even in the first round of the playoffs, he breaks every rookie record for catches and yards and everything else. So pretty impressive run by that young fella. And then the Miami Dolphins have made a couple moves, but nothing too like significant in the name of fantasy, but bringing Shaquille Barrett and Robert Jones and a few players on defense. So that's going to be really big improvement to what they got going on. So that'll be pretty wild to see because they were already a great team. And then Vikings, obviously no more Kirk. Move on from him. So they'll probably do something in the draft, I would think. But they did bring in Aaron Jones from the Packers. So that's a big move and a big swap there, I think. Fantasy wise, we've seen it. The Vikings do it with Dalvin Cook, like I talked about year after year after year. Last year, Madison's a guy. Nothing really happens. We'll see what goes on if they can get back to that relevance. But they're going to have a commanding quarterback to be able to make those runs. And Sam Darnold's the guy they bring in on a 1 year, $10 million. We'll see, because behind him is this Nick Mullins and nobody else really. So we'll see if they bring in someone through the draft or how they do that. And really speculating on what's going to happen with Justin Jefferson. Like, is he even going to want to stay there? Because he's up to be signed and he's the best receiver in the game right now. I think it's, you can put a few other guys in the category that may have been doing it longer, like Diggs or something like that. But I have to say that it's definitely probably Justin Jefferson. That's, the elite guy at the top of the echelon right now. And it'd be interesting to see if he even stays there. I think Vikings are going to have to really do something to prove to him why he should. So we'll see if that happens or not. The draft's going to be really interesting here in May when that goes down, and we'll be doing our dynasty drafts as well with Bushleague Sports. So feel free to go check out our website over at bushleaguemedia.com or head over into the Discord and chat with us, chat with me, get involved in some of our drafts. We got dynasty leagues, all kinds of different keeper leagues and different stuff going on. And we'll be integrating that into what we do with our online membership program. So you'll be able to basically have a digital membership that gives you access to fantasy sports, our online fitness company through Bam Bam's Fitness, and that'll be a really cool integration too. Everybody gets a free fantasy leagues to play in and free fitness membership for playing in them. Just a trial of what he's doing, some of the best online home workouts in the game. So it'll be pretty cool to integrate all that into everything and really bring in all kinds of different communities and different stuff we can from Web3 too, and integrate different ways to play fantasy sports together between communities, kind of like we did last year. And we'll be launching the first free access to that membership here in the next couple of weeks. So make sure you guys head over to our website or stay tuned on socials, and we'll start to post a few things. But getting over to your team, we chatted about them a little earlier, kind of covered most of it. Obviously Jalen Reagor coming in, Hunter Henry getting signed, and Jacoby Brissett coming in to back up the boys. So we'll see. You think they're going to be drafting a quarterback again this year, or which route you think they're taking it?
Yeah, I think they got to take the quarterback. I don't know. There's those top three, and I guess we're just going to be left with whoever is the worst of the three that people don't like. So I don't know.
Who's the top three to you? You got Williams, obviously. Who else?
Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May.
Nice. I mean, JJ McCarthy's looking like he's pretty good too, if I'm going to be honest. He's been looking like he's a stud.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if they really like one of those quarterbacks that are projected to go lower, maybe you take Marvin Harrison Jr. with the third pick, and then try to pick someone up with your second pick, whatever that might be.
I see Rancho's coming in here. I wish he was here earlier. I would have roasted the Raiders a little harder, but we let him roll. But no, I'm with you on all that. Beyond the Pats, we got New Orleans. They haven't done a whole lot yet, but they brought in Tyrone Matthews, the Honey Badger. He used to be just absolute elite. So we'll see if what he does in New Orleans and see what happens there if Michael Thomas or who all's staying there. Oh, Rancho's requesting up. We'll see what he's got to say. Thanks for popping in, Rancho. Come on up. Everybody, same thing. If you're on X, Facebook, whatever you're on YouTube, feel free to pop over on X and come in, give your takes. That's kind of what we're trying to do. Obviously, I'm probably half boring half the time, but you guys can all come up and entertain us all, give a few takes and see what we can all learn. But Rancho, how you doing? Did you make her up?
Yo, what's up, man? What are you trying to raise my Raiders on, dude? What the heck's up with that?
Hey, yeah, you got to give it to the boys. Got to give it to the boys. I haven't made too many wild moves yet this year, so just got to lip them off, Rancho. Can't help it.
Dude, come on, man. That's a huge sign. He's locked up one of the bottom line QBs in the league, baby.
I mean, he does have the maybe top 5 mustache in the history of the league, though, potentially. So that's worth something. I think that's valuable. That is a good thing to bring to Vegas.
Yeah, but mustache game is strong with him for sure.
Who you think they're?
No, I think I'm excited about it. I always like Gardner, so it'll be cool.
Yeah, no, he's a cool dude for sure. It's interesting to see him. And for anybody who's just looking at me being like, who are you talking to? I'm talking to the people on X. So make sure you come in, tune in over there and see what's happening. Oh, I just had a light fall over. No, it's hopefully what kind of position you think they'll be eyeballing in the draft, Rancho, as a Raiders fan? Where do you think they're headed?
Man, I'm not really sure. With the new staff and everything, I don't know which way they're gonna lean. I know Pierce likes that Jaden Daniels guy, that QB. I'm not really. I don't know. I don't like taking quarterbacks in the first round. Hardly ever works out, especially for the Raiders.
Nice.
I like just go with a solid defensive pick. Maybe a running back out there. We'll see.
Right on. Well, I'm going to run through a few other teams here. In New York, we got the Giants and the Jets. The Giants bringing Drew Lock, so it seems like maybe they're keeping Daniel Jones rolling. I don't know. If I've said for a few years, I don't think he's the answer. They keep on paying him and they keep on playing him, so we'll see if that continues to be the case. But I think they need to swap it up. I think they need some new blood running the offense there, and would be interesting to see. I don't know if Drew Lock would be the guy. I was hoping that Horsecock Lock would run the offense in Denver a few years back, and since then he's been on a carousel ever since. But I mean, at the end of the day, I would have rather they kept him and played him than paid Russ what they did and just surrounded him with a team. I would have honestly much rather seen that. And then Devin Singletary comes in after they send Saquon over to Philly, which we'll get into in a sec. And then the Jets, QB Tyrod Taylor comes in. So I guess they're, planning to have someone who's another veteran good guy in case something happens with Rodgers, putting themselves in a position where it's not Zach Wilson, even though the kid's a stud. I mean, he's an absolute, look at him. He's sexy as hell. But Tyrod Taylor's coming in 2 years, 18 mil, and he'll be the guy backing up Rodgers. And so we'll see, if they can make a good run at it this year. And Tyrod's proven that he can come in out of nowhere and help a team through. So it'll be interesting to see if he's needed this year and if that's the case. And then going over to Philly, they, like I said, brought in Saquon from New York, 3 years. Basically almost $40 million. Same thing. He's got the same kind of deal as Jacobs, $12 million a year. Yeah, but it's just interesting to see how some of these guys get paid when I would say, again, Henry's the best of them all. So it's interesting to see him not get paid as much as the other boys. Jake Elliott. The
Eagles, did they release their other backs? Is it only Saquon now, or did they hold on to anybody else too?
Well, like Swift's gone. So Swift is gone. He's left the squad. He's out elsewhere. And I mean, they might have a backup or two, but Swift was their main guy. So it would just be Saquon leading the way, I would say. Yeah. Yeah, no, Swift is gone. He's I was talking about it and having a brain fart. I'm trying to find it. But he has moved on from the squad. He was one of the first guys I talked about, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Chicago Bears. He went out, he's over in Chicago. He went to the Bears. Swift is in Chicago. And then the Steelers, they bring in Russell Wilson, obviously for $1 million. My Broncos are paying for their entire franchise. Great for them. Right on. Shouts to the Broncos for being just the worst ever in history. Just
Dude, I love how Rosie goes from your team to Sleep's team, man. That's great.
oh man, you know what? I didn't even factor that in. That is so beautiful. Oh man. So like if he sucks, I get to laugh at him. If he sucks, I get to laugh at him hard. And if he's good, then it just means he gets to beat my entire favorite team. So there's a lot on the line here. Yeah, geez, that's funny. Yeah, Russ Wilson, though. I mean, I just hate that the Broncos are paying his entire salary basically and didn't do anything to try to get a pick or anything. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, what do you guys even know what you're doing? Yep. And again, shout out to CBS for this easy, literal thing to read through over the trades in the last few days. There's been a lot going on. It's hard to keep up with. So shout out to them for having this dialed right in, make our lives easy. So check out what they are doing over that website. They are more dialed in than we are. We're Bush League. San Francisco 49ers make a few little moves with the on the edge. Gross Matos and Leonard Floyd come in on some $24 and $18 million contracts. And then a few other moves happen with some defensive tackles. So they're just, padding it. I think they got a great offense. We'll see what happens if they keep Debo and Ayuk both ripping with Kittle. And obviously if they keep McCaffrey, I mean, that's still one of the best offenses in the league. And Purdy's hopefully just can take one step closer to being that guy. And we'll see how it goes. And then Seattle Seahawks, Leonard Williams, Noah Fant. Those are the kind of two big names that they bring in. And then Tampa, they go Baker, 3 years, basically $40 million a year to $115 million contract. So awesome to see there. Baker kind of carried the squad, and it was, pretty electric in the playoffs. I like watching Baker when he's playing good. So that was awesome to see. And then Mike Evans getting paid the bag, $26 million, basically more than any of those running backs got paid for their like 2, 3, 4 year contracts. He's bagging each year. So good to see that. I'll be keeping him in my one keeper league where I can stack him in like the 9th round. Absolute unreal value. And so pretty cool to see that. And would love to we're going to have some people on too when we get closer to NFL season, start doing some mock drafts, start showing people, different ways to set up leagues and how to kind of dial in, draft and fantasy squads. We'll get that rolling. But I'm going to rip through these last couple of teams here. If you guys got anything you want to input, go ahead. And then I'm going to go through, just some good ways to dial in through the fantasy hockey playoffs. And then I'm going to roll out. I got some family down visiting, so I'm going to go hang out, visit with them, and, hang out. Have a good all day. But I don't know, you got any takes on?
I was going to say, I like those two re-signings by Buccaneers, bringing back Baker and Evans, keeping them together. Should be pretty good for them. Give another 3-4 years to be really nice.
Yep, for sure. And then Tennessee Titans bring in Tony Pollard, so that's pretty cool to see. I mean, we'll see who. Again, I guess we got to see what the Cowboys are going to do, who they're going to bring in and to take over that offense. With Tony Pollard being the dude over with the Titans now. I think he's good. I don't think he's super great. I think he got the benefit of the doubt when Zeke was on the team because they were paying attention to Zeke and he was kind of the backup guy. And now we'll see. We'll see if he can carry the offense with the Titans. They're gonna, have a completely different squad than they've had in the last few years. They got Levi's there. Obviously, Burks is maybe not going to be as impactful of a second-year guy as I had hoped when they got some of these other players they've signed to the team there. I think Ridley is one of those guys here in the last few days. Maybe I'm incorrect. And then obviously they got Hopkins still, right? So Burks is kind of third on the depth chart there now. So if Levi's can step up and be the dog, that'd be good. I drafted him in Dynasty and then traded him for 2 firsts last year. So I'm happy. We'll see if the person who got Levi's ends up getting the player they hope they were getting in that deal this year. So we'll see if he can step up and do it. And then the last team on the list is the Commanders, and they bring in the guy who we said went missing from the Chargers, Austin Eckler. He comes in on a 2-year, $12 million, actually like the lowest contract of them all, which is actually crazy because he had like probably the best stats, maybe the guy who would be closest stats wise to Henry, who I said should be paid the most, and he gets the least. So I obviously am an idiot. Like the two guys who I think are the best get paid the least. So I don't know what's going on or what I'm missing. And then Zach Ertz comes in on a 1 year, $5 million contract after literally signing with the team like in the middle of a playoff run. It's absolutely insane in the NFL. You just, it's a playoff run. We'll just sign a couple extra guys. Like, what do you mean? Like, no, it's not how it's supposed to work. Bring someone up from your farm team. What the fuck are you doing? I don't know your guys' thoughts, but I don't like that one. But that. Right on. Love to hear it. Nice. Well, and then I want to go over a little bit of NHL for anybody who's playing in NHL fantasy hockey leagues. We got a few different things going on, but the one big thing I like using when I go into NHL stuff, and obviously a big shouts to NFL and all the moves they've been making. We'll kind of keep covering it as it goes. Those first few days are the biggest. We keep saying we're going to be dialed in mostly on hockey, and then all kinds of big stuff keeps happening in the NFL. So hard to not go touch on that stuff. But I know too, you guys Rancho over there got the last stop of the Shredding Sassy Free Ride World Tour happening too. So good to see that. Hopefully I get some wins out of that this week. It was fun to play along with that this year.
Yeah, it was going through and totaling that up this morning with the winners. That competition got pushed back a little bit. Not sure if it was from weather or what. But you had a nice week, man. I think you picked all four podiums. Not first place, but you scored on all four, dude. So that was. You're in tune.
Let's go. We're dialed in, baby. We're dialed in. I was looking at. I probably should have picked the number one dog in most instances, but I picked I went with I was like everyone's gonna pick the number one dog, so I picked like the second or third person who I thought might have a chance to make a comeback. So I don't know if that was the smart move. I probably got a lot of second place they're doing that, but we'll see.
No, I think you got a couple goals. You did pretty solid. One of the top scorers of the week.
Let's go.
Victor De La Rue, the snowboard, revenge snowboard. I think he's won every single stop.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
First place against him.
Yeah, he was hard to bet against this year. That's for sure. Cool. Well, no, and so NHL, depending on your league, I think everybody's going into the playoffs either this year or next year, and or this week or next week, and depending if you're much of a fantasy player or not, the fantasy playoffs in basically any fantasy sport, they're going to wrap up while the regular season's still going because you need all the teams playing so that everybody playing in those fantasy leagues, just like NFL, has players playing. And so again, if you're on X, you won't see it, but there should be a live stream. You can pull it up or find it here on X or wherever, and you'll see video. But this week, what we got is one thing I started looking at is you can see on the right here, as we get close to playoffs, I start trying to stack my team with guys that are playing a lot of man games. I find that you're probably never really getting rid of your top guys if you got, McKinnon and Verhaeg or X or Oliver Eck or all these different guys that are really good players like Crosby, your top guys, your Pasternaks, your McDavids, your Dreisaitl's. You're never exchanging those guys, but some of your bottom tier guys on your team, if they're only playing 2 games in a week, you're literally better off dropping them, picking up a guy that plays 3, 4. This week, the big one has been the Rangers. I stacked them up early. They got 5 games this week. Going in and stacking your lineup with a guy that's going to come in, play 5 games, because a lot of these guys, say you're getting 2, 3, 4 shots average a game from these players. Well, if a guy's playing 2 games, you're probably going to get like 7, 8, 10 shots. If he's playing 5 games, you're probably getting 20, 23, 24. And so being able to kind of leverage those 2 or 3 extra moves in your lineup every week, really useful to help you get some dubs. And so it all just depends, on your league too. Like I'm in a league with 5 moves a week, so you can kind of exchange a couple players, do some stuff. I'm in a league with 3 moves a week, so a lot of times I'll maybe make 1 move, early in the week, get some extra man games. Come like Wednesday, Thursday, I'll start assessing if there's like a certain category I need, maybe making a move for a player. And then even in some instances, if I'm winning that week, saving my move for Sunday and actually picking up a player who, say this week, I feel like I got it in the bag. I'll actually go on Sunday and pick up a player for the next week, kind of get one move ahead so that going into this next week, I still get all three of my moves. And maybe I'm going and picking up a Buffalo Sabres guy or a Carolina guy. And when I'm looking through these lineups and looking at all these different teams, the first thing that stands out is, okay, these teams that play 4 games. That's someone that if you're playing in the playoffs next week, which a lot of people will be for round 1 of NHL Fantasy, you're going to be looking to these 4-game teams for the most part if you're doing swaps like that. Yeah, because again, none of the studs are just sitting out on waivers for you to grab. So you're kind of going through guys that are free agents in fantasy and sitting down in the depths, right? But one thing you look at is, okay, there's 4 games. Well, here's where the standout is. To me, Buffalo's the big one for next week of the round 1 playoffs. They got 4 games, but they're playing 3 and 4 days out the gate. So you could go and make a move, say, one move from last week, use your first move from this week, grab a couple Sabres guys, and then the first 4 days of the week, getting like 6 extra man games instead of if you just had one player sitting there playing 2 games. You're getting 4 more games out of it. So that's a big thing that can help you get a big advantage on that. And then you can go and maybe drop a guy on that Wednesday or Thursday, and now go and pick up a guy who's got 2 games left to close out the week. Now you're turning that spot where you might have had 2 games into like 4 or 5 man games every week, over and over and over again. And that's a big way to get an edge on a team that you might be better than you or has a stronger offense than you going into that week. You can just stack up on man games and hopefully you get lucky. And a lot of things like shots and stuff like that, you're just naturally for sure going to get more goals and stuff. You got to hope for the best. But then going into the second week of fantasy playoffs, only really 2 teams that are playing 4 games that week. So those are guys you want to eye, like the Ducks or the Vegas Knights. Oh, we got a promoted Trump pick in there. Away she goes. Gotta love to see it. But from there, the thing you're more looking at this week then is these 2-game teams and trying to avoid having them in your lineup, trying to avoid having a guy like Minnesota that's not playing for 3 days out the gate, probably dropping some of them guys or trying to move around with them, because I mean at this point, if it's not a guy you're going to keep her, sometimes you maybe got to make a sacrifice to get that playoff win, right? So just making sure you're paying attention to man games is a big thing. And again, big shouts to dailyfaceoff.com. They have a really good interface there. You can basically just search NHL weekly schedule. It'll pop up and you can go through week to week. They're going to break down these games and everything for you. And it makes it really easy. You just always want to go back to your roster. For us, we're playing on Yahoo this year. Go back to your roster, make sure guys you're picking up have room to get in your lineup, right? Maybe you go through and Thursday your lineup's full except for left wing. Well, okay, if you pick up a right winger that plays 4 games but you can't even tuck them in your lineup, super useless too. So make sure you're paying attention to your positions and stuff like that when you're making moves. And I see my buddy Riley popped into the Twitter space. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. But basically that's the way I round out my fantasy hockey leagues, because just that's the best strategic way to do that. And as well, we're going to be doing some playoff drafts here when the actual NHL playoffs happen. So feel free to come hop in our Discord or register on the website, where we're sending out a fantasy league invite where you can basically come in, pick any 25 players from all the teams going into the playoffs, and then compete against each other. We'll have a bunch of prizes and different things on the line for that little tournament. So you guys will be able to come in, have a little pick 'em and have a little battle between each other. So looking forward to doing that. But Rancho, I think I'm going to close the road here right away, unless Riley or Dave or anybody got anything to quiz up. And again, if you're tuned into the live stream, we're always live on X. You can come in, chat, say hi.
That was super good rundown. Useful information there. Yeah, if you didn't learn anything from here, you're not listening, man. Take some notes, kids. Let's go.
I love it, baby. Let's go. Anything happening with Shred and Sassy you want to dial the fam in for before we roll the show up?
No, not too much. Just the free ride world tour, top 5 wrapped up. We got stop 6 in a couple weeks, or a week or so. Keep an eye out for that. And then we got Shred Fest coming up next month, man. It's going to be here quick. That's about it.
Man, I'm just looking through stuff and it says I don't follow Riley, even though I do. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm on a different account or something that I'm not paying attention to.
X does that in these spaces.
Yeah.
Following everybody.
Gotta love it, eh? anyways, no, I hope everybody tuned into that too. You guys holding one of the Shredding Sassy Social Club memberships, you guys get 20% off all kinds of different gear places, Pit Viper, all kinds of cool stuff. So pretty cool what's going on over at Shredding Sassy there. And I hope a few people will check out that project and see what's happening. I know Shred Fest coming up 420 in Tahoe, so that'll be fun. And just make sure you guys are keeping in tune with everything going on over at Shredding Sassy. Pretty rad. But no, thanks for tuning in, Rancho. Appreciate you. Same as Dave, Riley, all you guys. Appreciate you guys coming today. Popping by.
Yeah, man. Appreciate being here. It was a fun time.
Word. I'll stick with the space in a second. I'm going to wrap up the live show, but anybody tune in live here, I appreciate you guys popping up each week. Thanks for coming into another episode of Bushleague Sports. Might not have been as flowy as normal without the co-host. I just wrapped it alone, but I'm going to wrap her up completely here and go hang out, see what's going on in the world today. And hopefully you guys learned something about a little bit of fantasy hockey, know everything that's going on in the NFL trade world today. And when my co-host comes back, we'll get into a few hot takes on a couple different things, and then really start amping up some of these fantasy drafts and getting some stuff going. Dial in a little bit of baseball. Baseball starts up in a couple weeks, and just looking forward to everything happening in the world of sports. But until next time, I'm stoked to be here. Stay Bushleague, beauties.
From the bottom, ain't no half-stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach, and it ain't no half-repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions. From the bottom, ain't no half-stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach, and it ain't no half-repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions. Tell them never question, dog, I'm sitting ghost status. Eating chicken with my gin, smoking on some cabbage. Used to pedal on this
moment where you skate down the street and some shit for brains yells out of his window, "Do a kickflip! Do a kickflip! Do a kickflip!"
Rags and house shoes, they know how the dog do. Skinny, heavy pockets, the West OG. Came across the globe, say they don't know me. Been applying pressure from 8 to 24 like Kobe. Mr. Hall of Fame used to bend the corners with strollies. Had to lay the blueprint, they rolled out the carpet. Anything I wanna own, I got my own market. Blew this, blew that, everything beautiful. Still ain't sold my guns and I still ain't had to use them though. Was once a hard head, now I'm counting blessings. I made my own way, still they don't ask questions. From the bottom, ain't no half-stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach, and it ain't no half-repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions.